What if the mighty Russian bear is just biding its time, lurking in the shadows while NATO scrambles to catch up? You won't believe how a shocking production delay could let Putin reclaim control of vital sea lanes, giving his subs a free pass for years. Imagine the roar of diesel engines echoing through frigid waters, the bitter sting of salt spray on skin, the endless crunch of ice under boots. It's a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game that's about to erupt, humbling Russia's bold incursions and exposing just how vulnerable we might be. With a historic pact between Norway and the UK igniting defensive flames, can they really seal off the GIUK gap before chaos reigns? Dive into this chilling saga where alliances forge steel, but time slips through icy fingers like sand in a storm. In the previous segment, we explored the deep freeze of Norwegian training grounds, where Royal Marines brace against bone-chilling winds that bite like a predator's teeth, their Norwegian-made missiles hinting at a collaboration far beyond mere ships. Now, witness how this alliance promises unbreakable bonds, rallying two nations against Putin's shadowy maneuvers like never before. Yet, a bitter twist emerges, offering the Kremlin a lifeline. Will Russia's admirals seize it and turn the tides? This isn't just a fleeting deal, it's an unbreakable vow drawing Norway and the UK into military intimacy unseen since wartime echoes. Feel the jolt of shared secrets circulated among allies, the metallic tang of cold steel alliances crisp in the air. Picture a scathing slap to Putin's face. His hybrid schemes teetering on the brink of defeat as these lands lock arms tighter. But alas, a cruel caveat haunts this triumph: one Vladimir will savor in his gilded chambers. Glory will wait, deployment looms painfully distant, granting Russia's subs illicit freedom for now. The chosen vessel? Type 26 frigates, elusive beauties yet to fully awaken. Crafted in abundance, they slumber in shipyards, as the UK's defense chronicles warn. First units? Not set to sail until 2028. Even then, rollouts creep gradual, some Guardians won't patrol the gap until 2035. This build stretch impacts Norway's fleet, forged entirely by British yards. Norway's $13 billion accord, scrawled just last August, secures at least 5 vessels. But does surplus already await construction, ensuring timely handoff alongside UK deliveries? Doubt lingers. Absent excess, ramping up output or prolonging waits, perhaps a decade more, could leave Norwegians stranded. This strategy breathes long-term vision, yet the chasm from declaration to action gifts Putin precious leverage, sculpting geo-gap dominion before hunters arrive. At minimum, over 2 years unfurl where his vessels glide unobstructed by Type 26 sentinels. But fear not complete abandonment, defenses persist, battle-hardened. Both realms command P-8 maritime patrol aircraft, sensors piercing fogged horizons to spot Russian culprits. Type 26, slated to supplant aging Type 23 frigates, suggests those relics might probe the waters sooner? Still, readiness falters, plans incubate, not executed. And here's the twist jamming the gears: Russia might exult in this lull, but the delay unearths a hidden truth. Putin's own submarines, exposed in past exercises, reveal flaws NATO can exploit long before reinforcements dock. As ice cracks underfoot and distant radar pings echo like ominous drums, will Brits and Norwegians outmaneuver chaos? Or has arrogance doomed their edge? Tease your mind, what unseen Russian stratagem hides in those depths, poised to shatter alliances midstorm? The chill intensifies, and the hunt begins anew. In the shadowy depths where icy currents whisper secrets of distant wars, Vladimir Putin sneered at the news. 2 years stretched ahead like a dark gift, allowing his submarines to slither through the GIUK gap unhindered by NATO's promised guardians. But did he really have free rein? A chilling tremor ran through the Baltic chill as old truths surfaced. The UK and Norway weren't defenseless, their aerial hunters circling with iron resolve. Imagine this: for decades, Russia's Red Navy has danced on the edge of danger, probing NATO waters with submarines that vanish like ghosts in the fog. But what if I told you NATO's counterstrike isn't just ships, it's a sky-high ambush ready to humiliate Putin's fleet? Shocking, isn't it? Feel the rush of freezing spray lashing your face as a P-8 maritime patrol aircraft thunders overhead, its engines roaring defiance against the Arctic howl. The scent of salt and diesel hung heavy, a tangible reminder of wars won and lost, while the pilot's grips tightened on controls slick with anticipation. Both nations deploy these formidable planes, armed with advanced sensors to pierce through Russia's cloak, detecting shadowy vessels where none should be. The Type 26 has also been forged to supersede the UK's fading Type 23 frigates, maybe even thrusting those seasoned warriors into the gap sooner than thought. Yet, this blueprint remains a forge in the making, not the gleaming sword of victory, just ink on parchment. Putin must be chuckling in his Kremlin lair. For such delays gift him breathing room against an upgrade that's poised to shatter his undersea empire. And what a twist! The Type 26, hailed by the Royal Navy as a modern marvel, the City-class frigate in UK lingo, stands ready for the 21st century's tempests. It masters warfighting, international ties, and the lifeline of maritime security, all in one sleek hull. At first glance, its stats might seem modest, displacing about 6,900 tons, cruising at 26 knots tops. But ponder its 7,000 nautical miles endurance. In the GIUK Gap's expanse, two stretches carve the map, a 200-mile veil from Iceland to Greenland, and a 500-mile expanse bridging Scotland to Iceland. Picture weeks adrift, the ship's steel groaning under relentless waves, winds howling like vengeful spirits, with only the faint tang of oil and ozone filling the air. Still, what truly spins this tale into wildfire is the frigate's razor-sharp surveillance crown. The Royal Navy boasts its artisan 3D radar, crafted by BAE Systems, delivering unparalleled vigilance. This beast juggles tracking up 800 objects simultaneously, shielded by electronic armor that laughs off cunning jammers. Objects gleam on screens from afar, up to 200,000 meters, or over 656,000 feet, farther than a scream in the void. But linger on this cliffhanger. What dark game hides in that silence? Could Putin unleash deadly submarines we've never glimpsed, turning the gap into a graveyard before NATO awakens? Can Russia really cripple NATO without firing a single shot? Picture the icy Arctic waters rippling under a relentless wind, carrying the sharp, biting scent of salt water and diesel fumes, where Russia's submarines lurk like silent predators, ready to sever the invisible lifelines that keep nations connected and secure. Earlier, we delved into the GIUK Gap, a strategic chasm between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, where geography favors defenders but invites Russian exploitation. Undersea cables and pipelines weave through frigid depths, vulnerable to sabotage that could plunge nations like the UK and Norway into chaos, cutting off vital communications and crippling defenses against Moscow's aggressive probes. Now, imagine the terror of isolation, NATO's allies deaf and blind in the cold embrace of the ocean, where the hum of propellers and the distant boom of ice-cracking signal dangers unseen. Could Vladimir Putin seize this opening to unleash hybrid warfare, turning silent sabotage into a symphony of disruption? The stakes soar higher as we uncover Russia's shadowy tactics, designed to undermine NATO through cunning, unconventional attacks. But fear not, Norway and the UK are forging their iron resolve, charging ahead to neutralize Moscow's underwater menace and shield critical infrastructure from those chilling threats. Recall the relentless wave of Russian incursions into UK territorial waters ever since Putin's brutal invasion of Ukraine shattered global peace? Ships and subs have prowled for months, their engines growling like beasts in the night, loitering ominously over vital undersea lines that pulse with data and energy. Russia reveled in the turmoil, sowing doubt and division. But that era of unchecked arrogance is crumbling, thanks to rebellious NATO allies determined to humiliate Moscow's naval audacity and reclaim the seas. In late November, a jaw-dropping incident revealed Russia's terrifying evolution, new technologies brewing to escalate their hybrid warfare. Feel the tension in the air, the acrid sting of ozone as a Russian spy ship unleashed lasers at a Royal Air Force plane, beams slicing through the deep blue sky like invisible daggers. Was this just a provocation, or a glimpse of apocalyptic tools to blind NATO's eyes in the sky? Watch closely as elite airmen dodged the assault, their hearts pounding amidst the shriek of alarms and the blast of countermeasures. Suddenly, the Arctic's biting frost feels like a mere prelude to lasers scorching the heavens and submarines vanishing into abyssal voids, Putin gloating at NATO's embattled skies, his laughter echoing over the waves. Yet, in this frozen standoff, Norway and the UK surge forward with unyielding partnership, their frigates poised like guardians to uproot Russia's hidden fleet. What if Putin can't conceal his vessels forever? Picture the Type 26 frigates, sleek and relentless, slicing through waters at 26 knots, their radar swirling in 360 degrees to unveil foes up to 200,000 meters away. No more shadows, no more Putin's pirates slipping unchallenged. But hold on, what fanged secret awaits if Russia counters with undetected leaps into the Atlantic's vast abyss? Using the gap as a gateway to global domination? In a twist that stuns the soul, whispered intel hints at ancient cables humming with forgotten power, ready for Putin to ignite a blackout storm that engulfs NATO in eternal darkness, his submarines not just passing through, but detonating a web of sabotage that leaves allies scrambling in the sensory overload of deafening silence and blinding panic. Will the UK and Norway's alliance arrive in time, or will Russia's lasers evolve into something far worse, humiliating the free world in an underwater blitzkrieg that no one saw coming? Stay vigilant, the Arctic's chill hides horrors, but victory's flame burns brighter. Imagine the vast undersea network beneath NATO waters. Cables and pipelines stretch like silent veins, carrying energy and data. They connect nations relying on this hidden lifeline for gas and communications. For years, Russia has targeted them, probing vulnerable spots. Picture the dark depths, the cold pressure, the faint hum of unseen vessels lurking nearby. Can you feel the chill of the Baltic Sea waters seeping into your bones? A flashback hits. In late 2024, damage struck these lines again. The salty tang of the ocean hangs in the air as muffled explosions ripple through the silence. Cables fray under sharp cuts, sparks dancing like fireflies in the abyss. Pipes rupture, releasing gurgling fumes that sting the nostrils. It reminds us how Russia's shadowy fleet, dodging sanctions, has harassed these treasures. As Newsweek reveals, these incidents link back to Moscow's games, threatening stability. Spotting Russian ships hovering suspiciously over these assets proves tough. Locating submarines? Even harder, making them deadlier threats. Politico states Russia hasn't yet crossed into open warfare. Sabotage cases exist, cables slashed. Yet, no major disruptions hit power or signals. Why? Because over the past years, they've scoped out these lifelines with sporadic strikes. What if next time, they strike coordinated blows? Could Russian vessels spark a NATO-Russia clash by severing power and comms across Allied lands? Ireland might lose a tenth of its electricity from 3 cable snaps. Norway, supplying a third of Europe's gas via those depths, faces pure havoc. Chaos erupts, shortages drive up prices, forcing brutal choices on who suffers blackouts. Allowing Russia to keep sabotaging here only emboldens Putin for larger attacks. Rhetorical question, won't Putin use this window to rally his forces? The geo-gap holds these vital lines, sparking ideas to deploy sensors as shields against attacks that could cripple nations like our own. Norway and the UK's alliance isn't just naval defense. It's a proactive shield. Yet, as more intrusions occur, what dark secrets lie beneath? Could this be the calm before a storm of coordinated sabotage, changing everything in an instant? Spray flies from turbulent waves as patrols intensify. The sharp bite of Arctic winds carries distant engine roars, hinting at hidden predators. Tension builds, Russia scouts freely, but the new pact shifts the tide. Will they adapt before detection tech arrives? Twist incoming, these patrols unveil not just threats, but a psychological edge. Putin, humiliated by this NATO boldness, must scramble or risk losing control. What if Russia's probes escalate to full disruption? The icy currents conceal horror, pipelines groaning under pressure, cables snapping with electric crackles. A tactile jolt as vibrations from sabotage ripple through the halls. Politico warns of scenarios where isolation hits before war flares. Electric grids falter, screens go blank, cold envelopes homes. Gas flow halts, stoves freeze, desperation mounts. This isn't fiction, it's foreseen chaos from unguarded vulnerabilities. Permitting continued damage, Putin gains confidence for bolder moves. The geo-gap's riches demand protection. Ideas floating of sensor nets to thwart cuts harming allies. The deal transcends ships, it safeguards the invisible threads binding Europe. Wind howls across deck, metal creaks under strain, sweat beads on brows as crews stand vigilant. Could one unnoticed sub derail it all? Shocking enough, but wait, reports hint at escalating tactics, turning shadows into open threats. In this high-stakes dance, who blinks first? For too long, Russia's navy has taken reckless risks. Its ships and submarines have been sneaking into NATO waters for months. They often linger over vital undersea cables, places where they shouldn't be, challenging the boundaries. Russia seems to thrive on chaos, uncertain about how NATO might respond. But now, a powerful alliance is emerging to change the game. 2 key NATO nations, the United Kingdom and Norway, have unveiled a groundbreaking partnership. Their mission? To track, hunt, and deter Russia's stealthy vessels that threaten regional security. This is more than just naval patrols, it's a bold declaration that Russia's covert operations will no longer go unnoticed. Vladimir Putin must be asking himself, how can I sustain my hybrid warfare efforts here? The UK's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, delivered a sharp warning on December 3. He condemned the repeated incursions, emphasizing the need for unity. As Russian ships are detected more frequently, he said, we must stand together to safeguard our nations and vital infrastructure. This partnership marks a historic shift. Never before have Britain and Norway joined forces so tightly on naval security. According to reports from the defense analysts, the two countries plan to deploy at least 13 state-of-the-art Type 26 frigates. These ships are built to detect submarines lurking beneath the surface, silent threats that have always been difficult to find. The goal is clear, to hunt down those elusive vessels deployed by Putin's forces in waters near Greenland, Iceland, and the UK. Norway will contribute a minimum of 5 vessels, while the UK offers the remaining 8. The words at least hint at potential expansion. This alliance could grow even stronger. The Type 26 frigate isn't just any warship, it's a technological marvel equipped with cutting-edge radar systems capable of tracking hundreds of objects simultaneously. Its range spans over 7,000 nautical miles, the perfect tool to patrol the vast, icy waters of the Arctic and North Atlantic. This is precisely where the stakes are highest, the so-called GIGG gap, a vital transit route that NATO now seeks to dominate. Once overlooked after the Cold War, this region has become a key strategic corridor for Russia's naval ambitions. Putin's recent military drills, featuring 10 submarines during a massive exercise, sent a clear message: he aims to exploit these waters. Russia's submarines can slip through icy channels and avoid detection, potentially sneaking into the Atlantic. However, the joint effort by Britain and Norway is set to change that. Their ships will bring advanced surveillance artificial radar that can see through electronic jamming. The Artisan 3D radar on the Type 26 can track up to 800 objects at once, detecting threats from miles away. This formidable sensor suite will be deployed to maintain constant vigilance. Despite the progress, a troubling delay looms. The Type 26 ships are still being built. First ones won't be ready until 2028, with deployments possibly pushed back to 2035. Norway's order for 5 vessels, signed only this August, faces the same timeline. This means that for several years, Putin could operate freely in these waters, exploiting the vulnerability the delay creates. Yet, the strategic importance of this region can't be overstated. The waters between Iceland, Greenland, and the UK are gateways crucial for maritime traffic and potential military maneuvers. Controlling this corridor could determine who dominates the North Atlantic. Now, a new chapter begins in this ongoing chess game, with Britain and Norway preparing to tighten their grip on the icy waters. Can Putin afford to delay? Or will this joint effort force him into retreat? As these ships prepare to set sail, when they finally do, the balance of power could pivot. Whether these vessels will act as shields or just shadows in the cold remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, a new phase of strategic confrontation is unfolding in the frozen depths. Leaving itself open to Russia's submarines, Norway's alliance with the UK to guard the gap shows Russia's rise as a grave threat to Western powers. London's World highlights Russia's vast submarine fleet split across Northern, Baltic, Pacific, and Black Sea fleets, forming the core of its naval strength. Could the freezing depths hold the key to global dominance, or is Putin's nuclear arsenal slipping through unseen waves? Picture the relentless clang of metal hulls in bone-chilling Arctic waters, where icy fingers of dread grip sailors' hearts. Russia's fleet pulses with danger, its submarines the backbone of naval power divided among those far-flung seas. Subtle vibrations hum through the ocean floor as more advanced threats emerge. Technological hunts intensify, targeting sophisticated vessels like the Yazan M, the nuclear-powered guided missile submarine class. These shadows can unleash unimaginable power, posing lethal risks if NATO's defenses falter. Survival hinges on neutralizing these underwater predators. The joint push with Type-26 frigates aims to cripple Russia's prized asset in the GeoGap, turning the tides against sneak attacks into the vast Atlantic. Roaring engines echo defiance, yet tension thickens as nations confront mounting aggressions. Over the past 2 years, hybrid warfare's grip has tightened. Newsweek reports a startling 30% surge in Russian vessel intrusions into UK-controlled waters. Norway endures similar pressure, its 120-mile land border with Russia amplifying stakes. Deployment of deterrence becomes critical. Countering submarine threats with unyielding resolve. Reports from the Times detail at least 42 incidents of Russian ships spotted in UK waters from 2022 to the end of January 2025, and countless more loom. The nation demands accountability, proving that Putin's naval games won't go unchallenged. TIP-26 frigates represent a bold shield, a forceful reply echoing across turbulent seas. Undersea scars tell darker tales. Late 2024 brought chaos, as multiple Baltic Sea pipelines and cables ruptured, linked to Russia's stealthy shadow fleet evading sanctions. Tense whispers of sabotage fill the air, where severed lines slice communications and gas flows like a knife through silence. Newsletter outlines how these vital infrastructures now bleed vulnerability, fueling conflict beneath the waves. Imagine the icy chill of the Arctic winds biting at your skin, the low hum of engines echoing across desolate waters where shadows lurk unseen. How did Russia's naval aggression become so blatant, leaving NATO's vital undersea cables exposed to sabotage? Just as the UK and Norway unite to shield the GIUK gap from Russian incursion, exposing Putin's fleet as vulnerable prey in this high-stakes game. As we've seen, Russia's submarines have been exploiting the GIUK gap, those treacherous waters between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, threatening to unleash chaos on undersea cables and pipelines. This neglectful lull since the Cold War ends now, with Norway stepping in alongside the UK to fortify defenses against a resurgent Russian menace. Britain's world underscores that Russia's submarine force stretches across its northern, Baltic, Pacific, and Black Sea fleets, forming the core of its naval dominance. But what terrifying power hides beneath the waves? Russia's advanced Yuzin-M submarines, powered by nuclear energy and armed with guided missiles, pose an existential threat. These vessels can even launch nuclear warheads, slipping through NATO's grasp like ghosts in the fog. The Type 26 frigates, slated for this joint UK-Norway operation, aim to neutralize this menace, rendering Russia's prized assets impotent within the gap and hindering their Atlantic sorties. Feel the tension, the sour stench of rusting hulls as threats escalate. Can Putin truly believe his hybrid warfare tactics will go unchallenged forever? Picture the UK grappling with a staggering 30% surge in Russian vessel sightings over the past 2 years, each intrusion a taunt against sovereignty. Norway, with its 120-mile border shared with Russia, faces even graver stakes. Imagine the relentless drum of border patrol boots, the eerie silence before a midnight alert. Newsweek highlights these pressures, driving the need for a formidable deterrent. And the incursions? At least 42 Russian ships breached UK waters from 2022 to January 2025, with reports of many more since. This isn't mere coincidence, it's a calculated provocation. The Type 26 frigates, part of this historic alliance, promise a robust smackdown humiliating Putin's aspirations by enforcing true maritime security. The scratch of steel against icy docks, the acrid scent of diesel fumes fogging the air. Will this partnership expose Putin's bluff, or has he already planted the seeds of deeper unrest? Now, consider the undersea cables, lifelines pulsing with data and energy, yet ruthlessly targeted. Late 2024 saw multiple pipelines and cables ravaged in the Baltic Sea, whispered to be the work of Russia's shadow fleet evading sanctions. Newsweek's insights reveal these sabotaged arteries fueling gas transport and vital communications, transforming waters into battlegrounds. The metallic tang of fear lingers on the tongue. What dark secrets await as NATO fights back against this invisible war? Let's delve deeper into Russia's formidable arsenal. Its submarines, numbering heavily across the northern, Baltic, Pacific, and Black Sea fleets, form the bedrock of naval might. Enhanced models like the Yuzin-M nuclear-powered behemoths equipped for guided missiles elevate the dread. Many can deploy nuclear payloads, a chilling reminder of why NATO must track them relentlessly. The Type 26 frigates, a joint UK-Norway bulwark, target this weakness head-on. In the GIUK gap's confines, they could cripple Russia's ability to infiltrate the vast Atlantic, turning Putin's aggressive ventures into humiliated retreats. The roar of waves crashing against frigid shores. Does Putin sense the winds shifting against his empire? Hybrid warfare scars both nations. The UK endured a 30% spike in Russian threats over 2 years. Norway, bound by a 120-mile Russian frontier, amplifies the urgency. Envision the crunch of snow under marching feet, the cold bite of isolation. Newsweek notes this shared peril pushing Norway to commit a stern counterforce. Incidents mount. The Times documents at least 42 Russian ship intrusions into UK waters from 2022 through January 2025, with countless others unreported. This illicit dance demands retribution, and the Type 26's UK and Norway's answer deliver it in spades, showcasing unwavering resolve. The salty spray stinging exposed faces. Can this alliance shatter Putin's naval fantasies, or will new horrors emerge from the depths? Undersea infrastructure bears the brunt. A wave of late 2024 Baltic destructions hit cables and pipelines, linked to Russia's rogue ships dodging sanctions. These conduits, per Newsweek, transport gas and sustain global communications, vital arteries now under siege. What twisted motives drive this sabotage? Feel the hush of cracked cables, the void where data once flowed. Will NATO's guardians prevent catastrophe, or is vulnerability Russia's cruel twist? Picture this underwater labyrinth, vast and invisible, a lifeline of cables and pipelines stretching across NATO waters. Imagine the chill of deep-sea currents, the eerie hum of electricity pulsing through metallic veins, connecting nations in a web of communication and energy. In our last tale, we dove into the shadows of late 2024, where Russia's phantom fleet of sanction-evading ships ravaged pipelines and cables in the Baltic Sea. Newsweek unearthed these assaults, linking them to vessels disguised in darkness, targeting lines that ferry gas across borders. Those strikes weren't just pinpricks, they echoed Russia's sly dance with chaos, probing ways to fracture alliances without firing a shot. Now, let's plunge deeper into this murky abyss. Ever wondered if Vladimir Putin's navy could flip the lights off on an entire continent? Feel the icy grip of dread as frozen waters whisper secrets of sabotage. The smell of salt and rust lingers in the air, where undersea cables hum with life, carrying internet signals and phone calls that bind us. For years, Russia has hovered over these vital arteries, ships lingering like predators in the fog. Spotting them is a nightmare, a game of hide-and-seek where shadows blend into the abyss. But submarines? Oh, they're the ghosts in the machine, undetectable specters that could unleash havoc if they strike. Politico warns, Russia hasn't crossed into open war yet. Instances of sabotage flick like knives, slashes to cables, isolated attacks, but no blackouts or severed Wi-Fi drown out the world. Why the restraint? Because Putin's forces have been mapping this underwater empire for 2 long years, probing weak spots with sporadic strikes. The question hangs heavy, what if they synchronize the onslaught? What if Russian subs and ships unleash coordinated terror, severing power and calms across nations, igniting a firestorm between Russia and NATO? Envision the turmoil, a tempest of terror. Ireland teeters on the edge, 3 cable cuts slashing a tenth of its electricity, cities plunging into darkness, the buzz of power lines fading to silence. Touch the cold sweat of panic as Norway's pipelines, feeding a third of the EU's gas, buckle under assault. Chaos erupts, energy crises balloon prices sky-high, forcing brutal choices, who gasps for air, who starves in the cold? Allow Russia to prowl unchecked, and Putin's boldness swells. He might muster the nerve for a grander barrage, confident in his creeping dominance. The GIUK gap, the treacherous stretch between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, harbors its own cable veins and gas veins. Voices call for a shield of sensors, a barrier against the abyss, to thwart Russia's shears from mutilating lines that sustain the UK and Norway. So, the UK-Norway pact? It's far more than a naval showdown. It's a shield against the abyss, halting Russia's march to cripple allies through sabotage. Slivers of time remain before Type 26 frigates pierce the waters, their radars scanning for threats. What shadowy endgame awaits if Putin strikes first? The sea grows restless, waiting for the storm. What if the abyss swallows us whole? In the shadow of escalating tensions, the United Kingdom and Norway forge a bold alliance, deploying the formidable Type 26 frigates armed with advanced surveillance to strike back against Russia's incursions into NATO waters, turning the tables on Putin's undersea threats. Imagine Rubin navigating the frigid abyss of the GIUK gap, his submarine's frame groaning under crushing depths, sensors buzzing like an impending storm. Sense the bone-deep cold infiltrating the steel, the briny sharpness of the ocean assaulting your senses from thousands of miles away. Will Russia conceal its stealthy killers indefinitely? You're feeling the tension build, right? Ticking at 238 beats, a drumbeat of unease. In our prior exploration of this naval standoff, we delved into the alliance uniting the UK and Norway to safeguard undersea cables and borders, unveiling how the Type 26 frigate, a leviathan weighing over 6,900 tons with a top speed of 26 knots and a range spanning 7,000 nautical miles, harnesses the Artisan 3D radar to pinpoint 800 targets from 200,000 meters, deflecting jammers effortlessly. It unleashes drones from the skies, surface assailants on the waves, and colossal unmanned underwater hunters to dismantle any Russian submarine menace. This versatile powerhouse looms over the GIUK gap soon, thrusting Putin into a nightmare from which he can't escape. We also glimpsed how this partnership dismantles Russia's naval dominance across northern, Baltic, Pacific, and Black Sea regions, with Gibraltar to block Mediterranean foes. Post-Cold War, threats faded amid allies like France, Portugal, Spain. Russia stands isolated now, a lone hungry wolf, targeting submarines that underpin fleet strength, while newer nuclear subs like the Yazan M evolve with cruise missiles for supremacy. Now, envision this dynamic duo dispatching 13 anti-submarine behemoths into the gap, where turbulent swells crash against jagged volcanic peaks, and fog cloaks the horizon in unyielding blindness. The gap's strategic core feeds the lifeblood to the Atlantic and Arctic, a gateway Russia craves for sowing disorder. The UK Defence Journal reveals the historical tapestry. The UK once patrolled this expanse to repel invasions, linked with Gibraltar's Mediterranean stranglehold to counter adversaries. Threats waned post-Cold War amid alliance. Can Putin humiliate NATO's pride with phantom armadas, or will his arrogance crack like thin ice under heavy boots? Twist, unearthed whispers suggest Yazan M subs hide silent assassins beyond missiles, slipping undetected through abyssal horrors that cry out in despair. Cliffhanger, alliances forge tighter, yet a staggering betrayal simmers beneath the surface. Could it shatter everything? What secrets will Russia unleash next to defy the tide? Not a minor threat. Britain's unrivaled maritime heritage melds with Norway's Arctic resilience to erect an impervious barrier. Yet, what if Russia's elusive aggressors infiltrate before these armored sentinels emerge? The relentless clock, its drip echoes in hushed chambers, ominous warnings of perils in the delay. Can Putin degrade NATO with spectral armadas, or will his arrogance splinter like fragile ice beneath stomping feet? Twist, intelligence hints Yazan M submarines aren't merely missile carriers, they harbor covert assassins, vanishing into detection gaps that render the abyss a siren of dread. Cliffhanger, amidst strengthening bonds, a treacherous deception simmers beneath the surface. Will Russia relent in its arms race? For decades, Russian naval powers have been pushing the limits, pushing into foreign waters without hesitation. Their submarines and vessels linger in areas they shouldn't, often shadowing undersea cables vital to global communications. It's as if Russia feeds off the chaos, daring NATO to react. But now, the tide is turning. An unstoppable alliance is forming, ready to face this threat head-on. Two NATO giants, Britain and Norway, have joined forces in a daring move. Their mission? To hunt down and stop Russia's stealthy ships before chaos ensues. This isn't just about patrols, it's a direct challenge to Russia's covert operations. The question looms, how can Putin continue his secret maneuvers in these icy waters? On December 3, British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer issued a powerful rebuke, condemning Russia's repeated intrusions. He warned that unity is our strongest shield. As Russian vessels slip into our waters with increasing frequency, he declared, we must stand together to defend our nations and vital infrastructure. This historic collaboration marks a new era, an unprecedented alliance between Britain and Norway on naval security. Defense experts reveal that the two nations plan to deploy at least 13 state-of-the-art Type 26 frigates. These advanced warships are engineered specifically to detect and combat submarines, silent predators lurking beneath the surface, nearly impossible to spot. Their target? The elusive vessels that Putin's navy deploys near Greenland, Iceland, and the British Isles. Norway will contribute at least 5 ships, while Britain will provide 8 more. The phrase at least hints at future expansion. This alliance could grow even stronger. But what makes the Type 26 so significant? It's more than a warship, it's a floating marvel of technology. Equipped with cutting-edge grill radar systems, it can track hundreds of objects simultaneously, an impressive feat of detection. With a range stretching over 7,000 nautical miles, these ships are perfectly suited to patrol the icy waters of the Arctic and North Atlantic, where the stakes are highest. This region, the so-called GIGG gap, has been ignored since the Cold War's end. Yet, it's now recognized as a critical transit route, vital for control of the North Atlantic. Russia's recent military drills, involving 10 submarines, sent a clear warning: Putin intends to exploit these waters. Submarines maneuver through icy channels, avoiding detection, potentially slipping into the Atlantic, an unpredictable threat. But Britain and Norway are preparing to turn the tide. Their ships will come equipped with advanced radar, artificial systems capable of penetrating electronic jamming and tracking threats from miles away. The Artisan 3D radar on the Type 26 can identify up to 800 objects simultaneously, maintaining near-constant vigilance. A game changer. Yet, a dark cloud hovers over this plan. The new ships are still being built, the first are unlikely to join the fleet until 2028. Deployment might be delayed until 2035. Norway's recent deal to acquire 5 of these vessels faces the same timeline. That means Putin has several years of potential freedom to operate in these waters. Exploiting the gap before the new defenses arrive. The strategic importance of this region can't be overstated. The waters between Iceland, Greenland, and the UK serve as gateways, crucial arteries for maritime traffic and military maneuvers alike. Whoever controls this corridor controls the future of naval dominance in the North Atlantic. Now, Britain and Norway are preparing to tighten their grip. The question remains, can Putin afford to wait? Will this joint effort finally force him into retreat? As these ships prepare to set sail, the balance of power could shift dramatically. Will they act as shields protecting freedom or shadows lurking in the icy depths? One thing is certain, a new chapter of strategic confrontation is beginning, and the icy waters will never be the same. Could Russia truly cripple NATO without firing a single shot? Visualize the icy Arctic waters, swirling under a relentless wind, carrying the sharp scent of salt and fuel. Silent submarines hide beneath the waves, ready to strike at the critical lifelines that connect nations, cables and pipelines that run beneath the frigid depths. Earlier, we examined the strategic GIUK gap, a narrow corridor between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK where terrain favors defenders but also presents opportunities for exploitation. These waters are dotted with vital undersea infrastructure, data cables, energy pipelines, each a fragile artery for global communication and energy flow. A single attack here could plunge entire nations into chaos, communications cut, energy supplies severed, defenses vulnerable. Imagine the panic, the deafening silence, the cold, biting air, broken only by the distant echo of ice cracking. Vladimir Putin's forces could seize this moment to unleash hybrid warfare, covert sabotage masked as routine patrols. Could unseen mines or underwater drones disrupt these vital connections, turning the depths into a battlefield? The threat isn't just theoretical. Russia's shadowy tactics include deploying advanced sensors, stealthy submarines, and laser-equipped ships, all designed to strike without warning. The stakes get higher, as the risk of these silent attacks hampers NATO's response, leaving allies as passive witnesses to impending disarray. But amidst this rising danger, Norway and the UK refuse to back down. The two nations are forging a formidable partnership, uniting their military capabilities to combat the lurking threat. These nations are about to put into motion a plan that could change the balance in these icy waters. Think of a fleet of sleek Type 26 frigates speeding across the sea at 26 knots, their surveillance radar sweeping in every direction, capable of detecting over 800 objects at distances up to 200,000 meters. No longer will Russian submarines hide in the shadows. The fusion of technology, shared intelligence, and joint training is an unbreakable shield meant to expose and neutralize threats before they strike. Yet, lurking behind this alliance lies a disturbing question: what if Russia counters by slipping undetected into the Atlantic via the GIUK gap? Suppose Putin's submarines, cloaked in invisibility, surge forward, igniting a hidden conflict on a scale we've yet to imagine. Whispered intelligence speaks of ancient communication cables, long forgotten but still alive, rare sources of power capable of unleashing a blackout of unprecedented scale. A covert explosion of these lines could plunge NATO into eternal darkness, their defenses decimated by an unseen web of sabotage. And just when you think you've seen it all, think again. What if Russia's next move involves lasers slicing through NATO aircraft, or submarines vanishing into the abyss, unleashing chaos with surgical precision? The Arctic's icy silence can hide horrors. Putin's laugh echoes over the waves, an ominous reminder that the ocean's depths are not just cold and dark, but also a battleground where the fate of many hangs in the balance. In this frozen standoff, the UK and Norway's alliance is their shield, prepared, resilient, ready to face whatever lurks in the abyss. Their new frigates, armed with cutting-edge radar and advanced sonar, will monitor the vast expanse of the GIUK gap and beyond. But the clock is ticking. The first Type 26 frigates won't be fully operational until 2028, with full deployment potentially delayed until 2035, giving Putin precious time to exploit the gaps. Imagine the scene: sleek ships slicing through the icy waters, their crews alert and tense, scanning the horizon for signs of unseen enemies. The quiet hum of engines, the distant crackle of ice, and the sharp, electrifying tension in the air all mounting to a potential showdown that could decide global stability. Is NATO prepared for the worst? Are the depths hiding a new kind of threat, one that could turn the frozen seas into a zone of no return? Or will the alliance's relentless technological edge and steadfast partnership be enough to thwart the looming shadow of chaos? Because in the depths, the battle for the future is already raging. The question remains, will the Allies arrive in time, or will Russia's silent, unseen strike bring a darkness that no one foresaw? Stay alert. The ocean's silence masks secrets that could change everything. In the shadow of escalating tensions, the United Kingdom and Norway forge a bold alliance, deploying the formidable Type 26 frigates armed with advanced surveillance to strike back against Russia's incursions into NATO waters, turning the tables on Putin's undersea threats. Imagine Rubin navigating the frigid abyss of the GIUK Gap, his submarines frame. As an all-rounder, it will soon invade the gap, turning Putin's dreams into relentless nightmares. We also covered how the UK and Norway's union could dismantle Russia's Northern, Baltic, Pacific, and Black Sea forces, where subs like the nuclear YS-NM cruise missile boats dominate. Picture 13 anti-subships unleashing terror into that gap. Waves crash against jagged volcanic cliffs. Fog shrouds the sea, blinding all. Why this focus? The gap fuels Atlantic and Arctic veins, a gateway Russia covets for unleashing turmoil. Britain's defense journal reveals, historically, the UK guarded it against invaders, partnering with Gibraltar to block Mediterranean foes. Post-Cold War, threats faded amid allies like France, Portugal, Spain. Russia stands isolated now, a lone hungry wolf. Targeting submarines that underpin fleet strength, while newer nuclear subs like the YS-NM evolve with cruise missiles for supremacy. Now, envision this dynamic duo dispatching 13 anti-submarine behemoths into the gap, where turbulent swells crash against jagged volcanic peaks, and fog cloaks the horizon in unyielding blindness. The gap's strategic core feeds the lifeblood to the Atlantic and Arctic, a gateway Russia craves for sowing disorder. The UK Defence Journal reveals the historical tapestry. The UK once patrolled this expanse to repel invasions, linked with Gibraltar's Mediterranean stranglehold to counter adversaries. Threats waned post-Cold War amid a line. Can Putin humiliate NATO's pride with phantom armadas, or will his arrogance crack like thin ice under heavy boots? Twist, unearthed whispers suggest YS-NM subs hide silent assassins beyond missiles, slipping undetected through abyssal horrors that cry out in despair. Cliffhanger, alliances forge tighter, yet a staggering betrayal simmers beneath the surface. Could it shatter everything? What secrets will Russia unleash next to defy the tide? Your threat. Britain's unrivaled maritime heritage melds with Norway's Arctic resilience to erect an impervious barrier. Yet, what if Russia's elusive aggressors infiltrate before these armored sentinels emerge? The relentless clock, its drip echoes in hushed chambers, ominous warnings of perils in the delay. Can Putin degrade NATO with spectral armadas, or will his arrogance splinter like fragile ice beneath stomping feet?